Welcome to Slothful Slumber, the podcast where we transform the vast knowledge of the internet into a gentle lullaby for your mind. I'm your host, Luna Dreamwell, and I'm here to guide you on a journey to tranquility through the soothing cadence of Wikipedia articles. Each episode will delve into the most wonderfully mundane and sleep-inducing topics, helping you drift off into a realm of serene dreams. So find your comfortable space, close your eyes, and let the dull hum of information carry you into a restful slumber. Now, let's embark on tonight's voyage of tranquil learning as we explore a topic so peacefully uneventful, it just might whisk you away to the land of dreams. This Wikipedia article is titled Budgerigar. The budgerigar, also known as the common parakeet, shell parakeet, or budgie, is a small, long-tailed, seed-eating parrot. Budgies are the only species in the genus Melopsittacus. Naturally, the species is green and yellow with black, scalloped markings on the nape, back, and wings. Budgies are bred in captivity with coloring of blues, whites, yellows, grays, and even with small crests. Juveniles and chicks are monomorphic, while adults are told apart by their cere coloring and their behavior. The species is the only member of the genus Melopsittacus, which is the only genus in the Melopsittacini tribe. The origin of the budgerigar's name is unclear. First recorded in 1805, budgerigars are popular pets around the world due to their small size, low cost, and ability to mimic human speech. They are likely the third most popular pet in the world, after the domesticated dog and cat. Budgies are nomadic flock parakeets that have been bred in captivity since the 19th century. In both captivity and the wild, budgerigars breed opportunistically and in pairs. They are found wild throughout the drier parts of Australia, where they have survived harsh inland conditions for over 5 million years. Their success can be attributed to a nomadic lifestyle and their ability to breed while on the move. The budgerigar is closely related to lories and the fig parrots. Etymology. Several possible origins for the name budgerigar have been proposed. One origin could be that budgerigar may be a mispronunciation or alteration of the Gamilaraay word Gijiriga or Gijiriga from the Yuwa Alarai. Another possible origin is that budgerigar might be a modified form of budgery or budgery, Australian English slang for good, and gar, cockatoo. While many references mention good as part of the meaning, and a few specify good bird, it is quite possible that reports by those local to the region are more accurate in specifying the direct translation as good food. Alternative spellings include budgerigar and budgerigar, the latter used by Indigenous people of the Liverpool Plains in New South Wales. Alternative names for the budgerigar include the shell parrot or shell parakeet, the warbling grass parakeet, the canary parrot, the zebra parrot, the flight bird, and the scallop parrot. Although more often used as a common name for small parrots in the genus Agapornis, the name lovebird has been used for budgerigars because of their habit of close perching and mutual preening and their long-term pair bonds. Taxonomy. The budgerigar was first described by George Shaw in 1805 and given its current binomial name by John Gould in 1840. The genus name Melopsittacus, from ancient Greek, means melodious parrot. The species name undulatus is Latin for undulated or wave-patterned. The budgerigar was once proposed to be a link between the genera Neophema and Pizzoporus, based on the barred plumage. However, recent phylogenetic studies using DNA sequences place the budgerigar very close to the lories, tribe Loriini, and the fig parrots, tribe Cyclopsatini. Description: wild budgerigars average 18 centimeters, 7 inches long, weigh 30 to 40 grams, 1.1 to 1.4 ounces, 30 centimeters, 12 inches, in wingspan, and display a light green body color, abdomen and rumps, while their mantles, back and wing coverts, display pitch black mantle markings, blackish in fledglings and immatures, edged in clear yellow undulations. The forehead and face is yellow in adults. Prior to their adult plumage, young individuals have blackish stripes down to the cirri, nose, in young individuals until around 3 to 4 months of age. They display small, iridescent blue-violet cheek patches and a series of 3 black spots across each side of their throats, called throat patches. The 2 outermost throat spots are situated at the base of each cheek patch. The tail is cobalt, dark blue, and outside tail feathers display central yellow flashes. Their wings have greenish-black flight feathers and black coverts with yellow fringes, along with central yellow flashes, which only become visible in flight or when the wings are outstretched. Bills are olive gray and legs bluish-gray with zygodactyl toes. In their natural Australian habitat, budgerigars are noticeably smaller than those in captivity. This particular parrot species has been bred in many other colors and shades in captivity. For example, blue, gray, gray-green, pieds, violet, white, yellow-blue. Pet store individuals will commonly be blue, green, or yellow. Like most parrot species, budgerigar plumage fluoresces under ultraviolet light, a phenomenon possibly related to courtship and mate selection. The upper half of their beaks is taller than the bottom half, covering the bottom when closed. The beak does not protrude much, due to the thick, fluffy feathers surrounding it, giving the appearance of a downward-pointing beak that lies flat against the face. The upper half acts as a long, smooth cover, while the bottom half is just about a half-sized cup piece. These beaks allow the birds to eat plants, fruits, and vegetables. The color of the cirri, the area containing the nostrils, differs between the sexes, being a lavender baby blue in males, pale brownish white, non-breeding, to brown, breeding, in females, and pink in immature birds of both sexes, usually of a more even purplish-pink color in young males. Some female budgerigars develop brown cere only during breeding time, which later returns to the normal color. Young females can often be identified by a subtle, chalky whiteness that starts around the nostrils. Males that are either albino, lutino, dark-eyed clear or recessive pied, Danish pied or harlequin, retain the immature purplish-pink cere color for their entire lives. Behaviors and head shape also help indicate sex. Veterinarians can determine the sex of a bird by invasive examination or samples of blood, feather, or eggshell. Mature males usually have a cere of light to dark blue, but in some particular color mutations it can be periwinkle, lavender, purplish, or pink, including dark-eyed clears, Danish pieds, recessive pieds, and enos, which usually display much rounder heads. The behavior of males can distinguish them from females. Males are typically cheerful, extroverted, highly flirtatious, peacefully social, and very vocal. Female series are pinkish while immature. As they age, they move from being beigeish or whitish outside breeding condition into brown, often with a crusty texture, in breeding condition, and usually display flattened backs of heads, right above the nape. Females are more dominant and less socially tolerant. This behavior is more pronounced around other females than with males. Budgerigars have tetrachromatic color vision. Although all 4 classes of cone cells will not operate simultaneously unless under sunlight or a UV lamp. The ultraviolet spectrum brightens their feathers to attract mates. The throat spots in budgerigars reflect UV and can be used to distinguish individual birds. While ultraviolet light is essential to the good health of caged and pet birds, inadequate darkness or rest results in overstimulation. Ecology. Budgerigars are nomadic, and flocks move on from sites as environmental conditions change. Budgerigars are found in open habitats, primarily in scrublands, open woodlands, and grasslands of Australia. The birds are normally found in small flocks, but can form very large flocks under favorable conditions. The nomadic movement of the flocks is tied to the availability of food and water. Budgerigars have 2 distinct flight speeds, which they are capable of switching between depending on the circumstance. Drought can drive flocks into more wooded habitat or coastal areas. They feed on the seeds of spinifex and grass, and sometimes ripening wheat. Outside of Australia, the only long-term establishment of naturalized feral budgerigars is a large population near St. Petersburg, Florida. Increased competition for nesting sites from European starlings and house sparrows is thought to be a primary cause of the Florida population declining from the 1980s. The more consistent year-round conditions in Florida significantly reduced their nomadic behavior. The species has been introduced to various locations in Puerto Rico and the United States. Budgerigars feed primarily on grass seeds. The species also opportunistically depredates growing cereal crops and lawn grass seeds. Due to the low water content of the seeds, they rely on the availability of fresh water. Behavior. Breeding. Breeding in the wild generally takes place between June and September in northern Australia and between August and January in the south. Although budgerigars are opportunistic breeders and respond to rains when grass seeds become most abundant. They show signs of affection to their flockmates by preening or feeding one another. Budgerigars feed one another by eating the seeds themselves and then regurgitating it into their flockmate's mouth. Populations in some areas have increased as a result of increased water availability at farms. Nests are made in holes in trees, fence posts, or logs lying on the ground. The 4 to 6 eggs are incubated for 18 to 21 days, with the young fledging about 30 days after hatching. In the wild, virtually all parrot species require a hollow tree or a hollow log as a nest site. Because of this natural behavior, budgerigars most easily breed in captivity when provided with a reasonable-sized nest box. The eggs are typically 1 to 2 centimeters long and are pearl white without any coloration if fertile. Female budgerigars can lay eggs without a male partner, but these unfertilized eggs will not hatch. Females normally have a whitish tan cere. However, when the female is laying eggs, her cere turns a crusty brown color. Certain female budgies may always keep a whitish tan cere or always keep a crusty brown cere, regardless of breeding condition. A female budgerigar will lay her eggs on alternating days. After the first one, there is usually a 2-day gap until the next. She will usually lay between 4 and 8 eggs, which she will incubate, usually starting after laying her second or third, for about 21 days each. Females only leave their nests for very quick defecations, stretches, and quick meals once they have begun incubating, and are by then almost exclusively fed by their mate, usually at the nest's entrance. Females will not allow a male to enter the nest unless he forces his way inside. Clutch size ranges from 6 to 8 chicks, depending on the clutch size and the beginning of incubation. The age difference between the first and last hatchling can be anywhere from 9 to 16 days. At times, the parents may begin eating their own eggs due to feeling insecure in the nest box. There is evidence of same-sex sexual behavior amongst male budgerigars. It is originally hypothesized that they did this as a form of courtship practice, so they were better breeding partners for females. However, an inverse relationship exists between participation in same-sex behavior and pairing success. Chick health. Breeding difficulties arise for various reasons. Some chicks may die from diseases and attacks from adults. Other budgerigars, virtually always females, may fight over the nest box, attacking each other or a brood. Another problem may be the bird's beaks being underlapped, where the lower mandible is above the upper mandible. Most health issues and physical abnormalities in budgerigars are genetic. Care should be taken that birds used for breeding are active, healthy, and unrelated. Budgerigars that are related or have fatty tumors or other potential genetic health problems should not be allowed to breed. Parasites, lice, mites, worms, and pathogens, bacteria, fungi, and viruses, are contagious and thus transmitted between individuals through either direct or indirect contact. Nest boxes should be cleaned between uses. Splay leg is a relatively common problem in baby budgerigars and other birds. One of the budgerigar's legs is bent outward, which prevents it from being able to stand properly and compete with the other chicks for food, and can also lead to difficulties in reproducing in adulthood. The condition is caused by young budgerigars slipping repeatedly on the floor of a nest box. It is easily avoided by placing a small quantity of a safe bedding or wood shavings in the bottom of the nest box. Alternatively, several pieces of paper may be placed in the box for the female to chew into bedding. Development. Eggs take about 18 to 20 days before they start hatching. The hatchlings are altricial, blind, naked, unable to lift their head, and totally helpless, and their mother feeds them and keeps them warm constantly. Around 10 days of age, the chick's eyes will open, and they will start to develop feather down. The appearance of down occurs at the age for closed banding of the chicks. They develop feathers around 3 weeks of age. One can often easily note the color mutation of the individual birds at this point. At this stage of the chick's development, the male usually has begun to enter the nest to help his female in caring and feeding the chicks. Some budgerigar females, however, totally forbid the male from entering the nest and thus take the full responsibility of rearing the chicks until they fledge. Depending on the size of the clutch, and most particularly in the case of single mothers, It may then be wise to transfer a portion of the hatchlings, or best of the fertile eggs, to another pair. The foster pair must already be in breeding mode, and thus either at the laying or incubating stages, or already rearing hatchlings. As the chicks develop and grow feathers, they are able to be left on their own for longer periods of time. By the 5th week, the chicks are strong enough that both parents will be comfortable in staying out of the nest more. The youngsters will stretch their wings to gain strength before they attempt to fly. They will also help defend the box from enemies, mostly with their loud screeching. Young budgerigars typically fledge, leave the nest, around their 5th week of age, and are usually completely weaned between 6 and 8 weeks old. However, the age for fledging, as well as weaning, can vary slightly depending on the age and the number of surviving chicks. Generally speaking, the oldest chick is the first to be weaned. Although it is logically the last one to be weaned, the youngest chick is often weaned at a younger age than its older siblings. This can be a result of mimicking the actions of older siblings. Lone surviving chicks are often weaned at the youngest possible age as a result of having their parents' full attention and care. Hand-reared budgies may take slightly longer to wean than parent-raised chicks. Hand feeding is not routinely done with budgerigars due to their small size and because young parent-raised birds can be readily tamed. Relationship with humans. Aviculture. The budgerigar has been bred in captivity since the 1850s. Breeders have worked to produce a variety of color, pattern, and feather mutations, including albino, blue, cinnamon eno, lacewing, clearwing, crested, dark, graywing, opaline, pieds, spangled, dilute, suffused, and violet. English budgerigars, more correctly called show or exhibition budgerigars, are about twice as large as their wild counterparts and have puffier head feathers, giving them a boldly exaggerated look. The eyes and beak can be almost totally obscured by these fluffy head feathers. English budgerigars are typically more expensive than wild-type birds and have a shorter lifespan of about 7 to 9 years. Breeders of English budgerigars show their birds at animal shows. Most captive budgerigars in the pet trade are more similar in size and body conformation to wild budgerigars. Budgerigars are social animals and require stimulation in the shape of toys and interaction with humans or with other budgerigars. Budgerigars, and especially females, will chew material such as wood. When a budgerigar feels threatened, it will try to perch as high as possible and to bring its feathers close against its body in order to appear thinner. Tame budgerigars can be taught to speak, whistle, and play with humans. Both males and females sing and can learn to mimic sounds and words and do simple tricks, but singing and mimicry are more pronounced and better perfected in males. Females rarely learn to mimic more than a dozen words. Males can easily acquire vocabularies ranging from a few dozen to 100 words. Pet males, especially those kept alone, are generally the best speakers. Budgerigars will chew on anything they can find to keep their beaks trimmed. Mineral blocks, ideally enriched with iodine, cuttlebone, and soft wooden pieces are suitable for this activity. Cuttlebones also supply calcium, essential for the proper forming of eggs and bone solidity. In captivity, budgerigars live an average of 5 to 8 years, but lifespans of 15 to 20 years have been reported. The lifespan depends on breed, lineage, and health, being highly influenced by exercise and diet. Budgerigars have been known to cause bird fancier's lung in sensitive people, a type of hypersensitivity pneumonitis. Apart from a handful of illnesses, diseases of the species are not transmittable to humans. Color mutations. All captive budgerigars are divided into two basic series of colors, namely white-based, blue, gray, and white, and yellow-based, green, gray-green, and yellow. Presently, at least 32 primary mutations, including violet, occur, enabling hundreds of possible secondary mutations, stable combined primary mutations, and color varieties, unstable combined mutations. Mimicry. Male specimens of budgerigars can be skilled at mimicking human speech. Puck, a male budgerigar owned by American Camille Jordan, holds the world record for the largest vocabulary of any bird at 1,728 words. Puck died in 1994, with the record first appearing in the 1995 edition of Guinness World Records. In 2001, recordings of a budgerigar called Victor got some attention from the media. Victor's owner, Ryan B. Reynolds of Canada, stated Victor was able to engage in contextual conversation and predict the future. Although some believe the animal was able to predict his own death, as was claimed, further study on the subject is difficult without the bird. As of 2001, the recordings still remain to be verified by scientific analysis. Critics argue Victor's speech in the recordings is not coherent enough to be determined as spoken in context. The budgerigar disco became internet famous in 2013. As of 2023, disco had been viewed over 24,198,346 times on his YouTube channel. Some of disco's most repeated phrases included, "I am not a crook, and nobody puts baby bird in a corner." Disco died in 2017. In popular culture, small bathing suits for men, commonly referred to as togs or speedos, are informally called budgie smugglers in Australia. The phrase is humorously based on the appearance of the tight-fitting cloth around the male's genitals, looking like a small budgie. The phrase was officially added to the Oxford English Dictionary in 2016.